Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. This is Lucette, and this is my first Sims build on this channel. I started this off one day of break, and I was sort of inspired by a little cottage. I think that I've always wanted to buy a little cottage and either fix it up or flip it or turn it into some sort of an Airbnb or something. But I thought this was just really cute, so I wanted to build a little cottage to put a sim in, and it's pretty small, so it's definitely a starter cottage, but I don't know, I think it's pretty cute, so I just thought I'd kind of talk through what was going on here. So I started off, I liked that curved roof over the top. I thought that was really cute and cottagey. That second story gets deleted. Actually, it gets played with and deleted a couple different times, but I don't know. When you think of a sweet little cottage, I love the fun colored windows against the dark brown trimming, and so I sort of tried to play with that here. I had a really hard time matching the browns, so I don't actually think that these two browns match perfectly, but it was about as close as I could get with these two separate doors because I liked the little French doors on the side of the house, and then the window pane door for the front door. I love those little flower boxes. I thought that would be the perfect fit for a cottage. I also thought about doing this in like a white siding, but I am in love with that white brick that comes with the base game, and so I just used that. And again, like I said, here I am fiddling with that top roof. I don't know. At first I thought it would be cute if it kind of peeked out. When I was younger, I can remember so badly wanting to have a house where you had, not, I guess not an attic, but where you had like a peaked roof, and your room was the room with the peak in it, so that you kind of had like this peaked ceiling. Or I had a friend growing up who had a room like that, and she had almost little windows, sill outputs that she could put stuff in, like a little alcove, and I always wanted that. So that's what I was trying to do with that second floor, but I just haven't learned how to do that in The Sims yet. And I know a lot of people, I think that in the new expansion pack, they have some of those built in as windows, but I don't have that yet. So eventually when I get that, maybe. And so now I'm just going through and adding some garden type things, because of course if this is going to be a sweet little cottage, I thought it needed a garden, and I'm not very good with gardens, but just kind of throw a bunch of plants together and hope that it looks good, and put some dirt under it. Oh, I had the toughest time trying to redo this grass around the path. I thought that it looked silly for the path to be like fading out because you wouldn't have faded bricks, but eventually I basically just cover it up with a tree. Again, with those alcove things, I don't know what it is, but I love houses that have little alcoves where you could put built-ins or some piece of furniture. I always try to make my own built-ins in The Sims 2, and that's so hard to do. I have to do it with the floating shelves, but they just don't come out far enough, and if you want to do it with like another piece of furniture, it just never looks the way you want it to. I don't know, maybe you guys are better at that than I am, and you can give me some tips. So I often like to use those alcoves for a fireplace or like a TV thing, because I think that it tucks away nicely. But in this case, I did a kitchen, and the kitchen ends up being a lot smaller than I thought it was. The house is a lot smaller than I had originally planned, but again, it's a cottage. And you know, when I picture my ideal cottage that I would just, of course, stumble upon, and it would be within my price range, I think of a little bitty cottage. So this cottage is pretty small. I think that it's sweet though. It's perfect for one sim. So the kitchen just has kind of your necessities. It's got one counter and a stove, and I think I put a sink in eventually, and then there's not even a dining table in this whole house. There's just that bar countertop. And I know that these curtains look funny. When I placed them, I thought that was kind of weird, but I wanted it to look like they weren't going into the countertop, but they were meant to stop there. And I think if you don't think about it too much, maybe you could see that, but who knows. So this is the one bedroom in the house, and I love that it's on the oddly shaped part of the house. I think that just adds such a fun touch to a bedroom. I love a lot of windows in bedrooms too. Growing up, my parents had actually basically the two walls of their room that were outside walls were covered in windows. And when we lived by a lot of trees, and I can remember when we were younger kind of feeling like it was almost like a little forest and just feeling so tucked away and safe. And although this was on the ground level, I just thought that having all those windows there just made it light and airy, and what I would imagine you would want if you were going to wake up in a cottage room. I started out with this bedding in these like glam metallic pillows, which I ended up changing because that doesn't go with what I was going for at all. That tile is a custom content tile, and I'm actually going to link all the custom content below that I add in here, and I adore that chevron tile. I think it's amazing. It's almost like chevron marble, which of course is just beyond. And I'll link that below. Like I said, it's gorgeous. That toilet paper holder there may not actually be functional because I've used it in a couple different builds, and I've had a lot of Sims wet themselves because of that toilet paper, because for some reason they can't use the toilet if that toilet paper's there. And the scale's there too. So I'm not really sure how functional that will be. I have to go back and change that. I'm going to put this build in the gallery. And of course, because it does have some custom content, it'll be missing some things unless you go download the custom content. But that's why I'll leave it linked below. And if not, you can just fill in accordingly. I tried to divide this space up a couple different ways because I didn't want it to be all one big open room. I like open floor plans ideally in things, but I find it like really hard to build with open floor plans. So in the Sims, I often close things off more than leave them open because, I don't know, just for some reason I can't break them up mentally. I had another little alcove there, like I said. See, I like adding like full furniture like that in there. I love the desks tucked into alcoves. I just think it makes for a sweet little study nook. Before I upload it to the gallery, I'll add a roof on top of that alcove there. I didn't in the original thing, and so you might see in the screenshots or something, that there is no roof on top of that alcove. But again, I add it. This sectional is another piece of constant content that is amazing. I adore it. It has tons of different pieces, and it just looks so comfortable. I am a total sucker for sectionals. My apartment is unfortunately too small for a large, comfy sectional, but one day I will have an incredibly comfy sectional. So I finally figured out a way that I wanted to divide this up, and again, it creates a little alcove for me to decorate in, which of course I love. So I just kind of stuck a shelf there and then filled it with tchotchkes, which, you know, everybody's got to have a little bit of stuff in their house. Not too much. And then some rugs on the inside and the outside, because rugs are always nice, always wanted. I don't know why I needed to have those knives in there. This is another custom content, that numbers above the door. I love that. These two. These deer heads. They're so sweet and perfect for the cottage. And the flowers are too, except I believe the flowers eventually go. I don't remember why. I think I expanded it or something. Maybe not. So I began to try to fill this shelving unit here inside the thing, but then I ended up pulling it outside of the house and then move it back in because I can't see anything I'm doing right there. So you can kind of see exactly what I'm decorating with. I use those elephants in every room I can because I love elephants and I just think that they're so cute. So I use them, you'll see them in most everything I do. So I ended up not liking the hood range, even though it's probably in a real kitchen would be very practical, but instead I just put that one cabinet above, which again, in a real house is maybe not the most practical, except in my first apartment I had a bunch of open shelving like this and only 2 actual cabinets, and I found it to be a little frustrating, and there was no hood range too, so everything would get covered in cooking spray, which I would have had no idea that happened before I moved out. on my own, but apparently if you don't have a hood range and you use cooking spray, it kind of gets, or oil even, it gets all over your things, and when you move, you gotta wipe everything down because it gets a little sticky. Oh yeah, there those pictures go. I knew they went for some reason. Oh yes, I expanded the living room bigger because I thought it was too small, and plus I wanted a wider sectional. So I just added on a sectional, and I love those pillows. I love the ampersand pillow, and that giant coffee print is so cute too. And then I just kind of, at this point, I'm just kind of throwing in some tchotchkes and decorating the house. So it makes it look like an actual sim house. I first started playing The Sims with the original Sims. I played it all growing up, and I wouldn't decorate anything. It would just be sort of a house, and then I'd play it. I actually, although it seems dated now to play the original Sims, I think there was a lot of fun things in it. I think the Magic expansion pack was my favorite, which of course I can't remember what it was called, but I loved that one. And then Sims 2 was definitely like a close second, I think, because that was like the prime of really when I played it, and I had all the expansions and I loved it. And Sims 3, I played for a short while, but I was really annoyed, I think, like a lot of people, with all the bugs and the issues with it. So Sims 4 has been an interesting journey. So there's the final plants, and then I went around. I saw another simmer do this where they just kind of fill the outside with those little spotlights, and I just thought it was the best idea because it just makes the greatest statement at night. And then I've thrown in a dresser, which I almost never throw in dressers into my sim houses because they're just not something that I find to use ever. I click on the sim when I want to change things, but in this case I did. And again, throwing in tchotchkes. And you can see I changed the bedding to a green there. I love that painting. And then just throwing in some final paintings and things in the house. And I think that these are my last couple things. Oh, I put in a fun custom content sled here, which I love. And now we can get into the pictures. I think I went a little overboard with the pictures, but you kind of get the gist. It's this sweet little tucked away cottage with these fun whimsy details like that ring boot planter, but it's also glam. It's definitely, I imagine it for some young single girl who's just kind of getting her life started. Excuse me, but definitely has, some capital behind her because this would not be cheap. I think it was about 35,000 simoleons. I'm not entirely sure. You couldn't quote me on that for sure. But I don't know. I hope these give you a better idea of sort of what I was going for. And like I said, I'm going to link all the custom content below, and it will be available for download. And I hope you guys enjoy, and if you do use it, I'd love to see it. If you just use the hashtag Lucette on social media, I will see it. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.